The Women Beyond the Table is a community of empowered women who are rewriting the rules and taking their skills, knowledge, and wisdom beyond the table.
Welcome to the Women Beyond the Table podcast. I'm Tammy, and I feel very psyched and blessed to have Caryn, my co-host, here with me for another Table Talk episode. Hey, Caryn, what's the word?
Hey, Tam. I'm so happy to be here today. We have a really, really important topic to talk about today, which really actually hits close to home for me and my family. So I'm very excited to be speaking with Jennifer Senn today.
Today's topic is a really tough one because it's a topic that's discussing grief and loss. And our expert today is Jennifer Senn, who is a pregnancy loss recovery coach. Jennifer Senn is practicing sacred work. That's how we feel about it, because she helps women who are struggling after the loss of their baby heal and move forward so they can live a life full of possibility again. She uses her own experience with loss and the power of coaching to help her clients envision a new life that looks different than it did while they were pregnant. Together, they can create a roadmap for healing and honor their baby as well as themselves. So welcome, Jennifer. We feel super blessed. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, I feel blessed today that you are today's topic guest. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk about this topic that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but it is really necessary because it happens so much and there's really a lot of suffering going on underneath the surface.
It's true. So let's get this topic opened up with your journey. Your journey into this type of coaching was a result of your own experience of loss. So how are you able to not only handle loss, but decide to embark on this path to help others, which to me is extraordinary?
So I guess, way back, my parents had a daughter before me who was stillborn. And so it was really talked about in our house. We visited her grave. It was not an unusual topic. And then fast forward years later, my husband and I were married for 9 years. We had 2 little boys, and my third pregnancy was twin girls that were stillborn at 32 weeks. So here it was, I was now experiencing this loss that I was familiar with through my family, but it was firsthand. And I was a hairstylist. I've been a hairstylist most of my life, cared so much for women and, heard all the stories, behind the chair. And it just really started to connect the dots with me that, a lot of the things that happen years later are still connected to a loss that happened, maybe earlier on in your life. And I just knew that it just became really on my heart to find a way to help women through this in a better way. Therapy is wonderful, but sometimes you need someone to help you look forward, because a lot of times when you have experienced a loss, the future is really uncertain. You don't trust it anymore. And so it really helps to, that's why I embarked on the life coaching piece of it, because I felt like it was so important to give them tools to look forward and keep moving and healing.
It's a tough topic to talk about, and it's such a sensitive issue because couples handle it so differently, the loss of an unborn baby.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's not a lot of support out there. At least, as it feels very helpless watching the people that you love hurt so badly and you don't know how to comfort them.
Oh, it is. It's so hard. And I love what you said about the couples. It's such a different grief process for both of the parents. Each parent has their own grief process, and very often they're very different. And so that it really
100%.
raises the, the divorce rate, the, separation rate in relationships, because it's just hard to recover from that sometimes if they don't have the proper help. And and I think too, when it's someone in your family, you try to make it better. We love our people. We just want them to feel better. And we try to say things and do things that make it better. And this is one of those things that you just can't.
And
There's nothing.
It impacts everyone. I'm impacted because they're my children. Yes. And you're watching your children suffer and you're suffering. So it's like it's a blended emotion.
Awful. Yeah, exactly. It does. It trickles through the whole family, because there were so many people that were expecting this happy outcome that are now grieving, and in very different ways. So
I mean, I'm going to jump to one of our end questions since we're kind of going in that topic. So a baby loss clearly would affect a relationship. It's impossible for it not to. What do you say to here, let's say somebody like me, like you're saying, you're talking to somebody who's experienced it, or I find that people, friends, other people, family, they don't know what to say to the person who's lost the child. Like you don't know about a baby. You don't know how to make it better. You don't even know what to say. Like sometimes you find like, do I just avoid it? Do I not say anything because they're so upset? It's such an awful thing. But what do I say that'll make them feel better? I want them to feel better. And you don't even have the words, like you don't know what to say to make it, to even acknowledge it. Start even open. You don't even want to open the conversation because it's so awful. Like it's really hard. So what do you tell clients? I mean, do you also, this is very interesting, but there's a couple who loses a baby, but do you also counsel or coach the family members about how to work better with the woman who's lost a baby, the father who's lost a baby, because, like on what to say or include them in on what to tell others, how to approach this person, who's going through this, like what to say, because they can also be great help with outside people who hear about it and see your child or see your whoever it is who's going through this, and they're like, now they know how to handle it better, the right way or a better way than they normally would.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So obviously most of my clients are, the mother. That there's a few more that have both, that are couples. And then there's a fair amount that are, a parent of the people who are experiencing the loss, because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They feel so helpless. So can I start out with a few things not to say, and then I'll go
That's
to
always
things to say. How about that? That one's always, please.
I can help you with the not to say too.
Yes, I bet yes. So what not to say to someone who's had probably any kind of loss, but especially a baby loss, is anything that starts with at least. If you start to say at least, to stop yourself. At least you can have another baby. At least you're still young.
At least you already have kids.
At least it was soon. At least you have other kids. Yeah, you can imagine. It just goes on and on and on. People trying to justify it. And that is not what you want to hear. That is very damaging to the lost parents. So yeah, I think anything that is you trying to make it better, is not helpful, because let's face it, there's nothing you can say that's going to make this better. There's just not. What you can say is, I'm here for you. I hate that you're going through this. I would love to listen if you feel like talking. I'm going to drop off dinner. Don't ask them what they need, or give me a call if you need anything. They're not going to. They don't even know how to breathe. They're not going to ask you for anything. You just do it. Just do it. Drop off a bag of groceries, drop off dinner, send a text. The text should be, you don't have to answer me back, but I want you to know I'm thinking of you. And if you can use the baby's name, even better.
I love that. You don't even have to answer this.
Don't answer. Yeah, you don't have to answer it, but here's what I need you to know. So I'm thinking about you and your baby. That means everything.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
right now, too, she's scared that everyone's going to forget about her baby. And so by you using their name, as much as you can for throughout the years, it's really, really, that's what's healing for them. And that's what's helpful.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it makes sense, but still people struggle so much with, what do I say?
Yeah,
What do
well,
I
we
do?
want to
Like,
make it better, right? We're
yeah,
fixers.
you want to make it better.
We don't
And-
like to see
yeah.
people in pain. And that's, that's a big topic I talk about too a lot, is that you have to feel the pain. It's okay to feel the pain, and we're not used to it. From the minute we were born, our parents told us to stop crying. Don't cry. No one wants,
Or you medicate you way through pain. Most people, that's what they do.
Yeah. But when it comes to grief, you need to feel it to get on the other side of it. You have to.
It's a cycle. There's a grief and a mourning cycle that you need to go through.
Yeah, 100%. I teach a method called the HEAL method for my clients, and it's hurt, empower, accept, and live. In that order, and if you can imagine, it's kind of like hurt, you go down in, and then you start to, accept and then live. And you can, and find ways to incorporate your baby in your life, because they're always going to be there. The reminders are everywhere.
So let me ask you a question. Do you deal often with anger?
So much. Yes. Anger, jealousy, guilt, hopelessness, of course, depression and anxiety. That's a huge factor that is really important to keep track of, because that can get out of hand in a hurry. And it's really hard to differentiate what's depression and anxiety versus postpartum depression, because not only do you have, the depression of what's happened, but you have your hormones going crazy. And so it's just a really tricky mixture.
So when, talking about pain and dealing with all the emotional, things that are going on, do you get does it happen where you get immersed in your client's pain, or do you remain an observer to it? Does it their pain, does sometimes just take you over, or do you have to be like, I'm observer, because it's so, we're parents here. And we're women, and just thinking about it, it brings you a feeling, this pain or emotion, or it's an emotional topic, and you're dealing with it all the time. Yeah. So how do you stay, where it doesn't get to you after a while? Because I've seen, you see doctors who are like that. They become aloof almost to dying and death, but they're cold. They come off a bit cold, but you don't. So how do you deal with that? The pain, or where do you put it, your client's pain, so that you can be effective for them? And do you become more of the observer to their situation, or how does that work?
It's a good question, because there's definitely things that will trigger me, and I can feel it, I mean, there's times when I can just feel something will trigger me, and I can feel it myself. So I think just, I am far enough down the road. My loss has been 22 years now. So I think for me, I just keep it in perspective that I'm far enough down the road that I can see where they can go, and I really look at it more of this isn't a word I use much, but is excitement of how they can discover, how they can discover the gifts that their baby has left for them, and all of the different little things that they can put in place so that they are reminded of their baby, or that they can honor their baby. I try to really always be looking at that part of it, and just appreciating where they are, appreciating where they are right there.
Is it good to see or encourage that one day you'll have a family and one day you'll have more children? Is that helpful?
I think it would be if you add on, if that's what you want, because I think sometimes we can't assume that they're going to want to do, I mean, getting pregnant again is that's a whole other, that's a whole other coaching program, because that's a whole different scenario in itself. And there's so much fear to conquer with that. And there's so many feelings that just keep coming up. And, you feel guilty that you're going to be happy about this baby, but this baby's not here. There's all kinds of things so yeah, I think it would be great to be encouraging, but if that's what they want.
I like that.
And just maybe not assume that's what they want.
Right. That's important. That is.
Because it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of courage to jump back into that.
Yeah. For sure. Because it's got to be almost terrifying. I mean, you want to, but once, when you don't think about things when you've never gone through it. You just do it,
right.
But once it's happened, you put your foot in there and it's happened to you, it's zapped you on some level. It's hard to do. It's hard to do it again.
Well,
I had, a miscarriage early on in a pregnancy. It's not a stillborn. And that was hard because I was like, what if if the same thing happens, like I can't carry past the first trimester, the first 3 months. So it's always in your mind, but, definitely.
And people look at you and they think, oh, good, she's pregnant again. Now everything's great. And what they don't realize is that this woman who's now pregnant again after her loss is assessing every single movement and assessing everything she puts in her body and assessing every move she makes,
which adds so much stress to the pregnancy.
Yes, in fear of a repeat result.
So, grief is such a hard thing. And it's kind of, I hate to say this, but I see that it's kind of taboo to discuss it in our society, or like to dwell on, loss, or, people expect you to get over it. Like, you can mourn for this amount of time. Here's a time limit that you can mourn for. And now you need to move on. You need to get it together because, this isn't acceptable anymore. What do you see as the toll that this takes on people, especially on women's mental and physical health, when she's told to, all right, you lost the baby, you'll have another one, get it together, let's move on, kind of thing. What toll does that take?
Well, after I worked, I owned a salon for many years, and then I did some business consulting for a few years in the salon industry. And what I noticed was there was very often a correlation of women who were struggling with self-confidence to a previous loss that they had in their life. I mean, it really, if you leave this kind of grief unprocessed, like I said, you don't trust the future. You don't trust your body. You just feel like you're broken and damaged. It can really take a toll on your self-confidence, your relationship. There are so many ways that it left unhandled becomes very, very toxic and dangerous in so many areas of your life.
Yeah, it's trauma. You carry trauma around, and it affects everything, and it becomes like part of your DNA almost,
Well, and that's why, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's amazing to me that what Tammy touched on before is that you're able to listen with an open heart to the stories that you hear. And even though you're triggered, it brings something up in you, but you're still able to keep that aside and put it somewhere for you to be so helpful in working with these people. Mm-hmm. And so those boundaries are very, to me, it's remarkable that you're able to do that kind of work.
Thank you. Yeah. It's an honor to be able to walk with women through this, because it is a 100% taboo. It's a taboo subject. And that
is.
came from the women before us, I think, our grandmothers, they just, oh, everyone in my day had miscarriages and we lost babies and we're no different, everything's just fine.
You
And
are
it's
so
not.
correct. You are so right with what you just said. It's amazing. It's like a family origin story from back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Like that just happens, we're fine. You just get over it. That it didn't affect me at all, but it did. And probably if we went back and really analyzed them, it did. There were definitely some sort of self-esteem, trauma that went on. And so I encourage talking about it. Talk about it to anyone who will listen, and be really open about it, and don't stuff it down and hide it like it's shameful. It's not shameful. And yes, it makes people uncomfortable. And it does. It's because it's uncomfortable. But it doesn't, as women do, we try to people please our way through life,
Yeah.
and put the smile on and pretend that we're fine.
We're
Everything's
fine.
good.
Always that. I'm fine. I'm fine. That's always the
Yeah.
answer. Yeah. Fine.
Fine.
Everything's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you're on like 12 Prozacs, but it's wonderful. It's great.
Yes. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So listen, I wanted to ask you, besides, what are some like, it's a weird word. I don't want to use the word tools, but what can you recommend, like the parents who are going through this? Okay.
Yeah.
They've lost a baby. So, and they've had a stillborn, whatever happened, whatever decision, whatever had to happen. How do you, what would you say to, like, what do you say to them? Not just like me saying something to them, but you as a coach, what are like some recommendations? I don't even know the right, word to use to get them to even open up to the idea that they need help, that they need good help, that they need coaching, that this will bring them some kind of peace. Like, what are the tips that we could like share with our listeners so that they know somebody going through it, they not just say the right things, but maybe they can offer some way for them to start to come into the idea of healing and speaking with somebody and like getting it out that, they're dealing with this. Because most women I know who've had losses, I haven't heard of them going to speak to anybody about it. Like it happened and that's kind of it. They could be, I don't know, but I think it's not taboo, but it's still kind of like not a thing where a lot of women do it.
Right. Because we're just supposed to get over it, right? Move
Right.
on. Yes. So sometimes their doctor will prescribe therapy. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. And you'll just be able to tell, like, do they seem kind of flat? There's just really not much excitement in life. Maybe they're letting their appearance go. Maybe they're saying, negative things about themselves, because I think that those are the signs. And, are just really not, I think mostly just not feeling excitement about anything for their future. Those are really big signs that something's going on and they're not quite right. Definitely if they're having issues in their relationship with their partner, that's a big sign. That is such a common argument, I want to say, but between couples is the difference in their grief. And the husbands sometimes don't understand, why are you still feeling this way? Even my own husband said that to me. And to recognize too that this comes back up. This isn't something you just get rid of and then it never comes back. It is helpful, but
do you find that it's one sex struggles with it more than the other? Do you find like it's
usually, women do 100%, 90% more, because it's our body. We were the ones that, I had twins and I could tell you which one was were more active. I knew their schedules. I knew which one had hiccups more often. You get so connected to them because it's inside of your body. And it is, I mean, the loss of the future is the same with your partner, but the present loss is definitely more felt by the mother, for sure. So
That
that's
makes
hard
sense.
to deal with.
Yeah,
You
that
get
makes
really
sense.
connected to them.
Totally does.
And
So,
yeah. So
Jennifer.
yeah, I think, no, go ahead.
No, I mean, I just, I want to, first of all, I want the listeners to know the best way to contact you.
So the best way is probably through my website. It's jennifersenn.com. There's all kinds of ways on there to get in contact with me. And I am on Instagram. I have a private Facebook group for moms. And Instagram, Facebook, and my podcast are my main.
And the listener could reach out if they would like to be part of the group, or is there a process?
There's just a couple questions, but it's Navigating Baby Loss Community.
Okay.
It's called, and there, just a couple questions just to keep it private. But I like for there to be open discussion, lots of support. Any kind of sharing that they want to do is in there.
We're going to put that in the show notes.
Oh, thanks.
Jennifer, it's for baby loss too. It's not just for stillborns, or is it?
Right. I mean, stillborns or infant, infant loss. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for the truly sacred work that you do. It's the toughest topic that I could really think of.
We just can't leave. That's it. That doesn't.
It doesn't.
I don't need to be a mom to agree that it's the toughest.
Yes, I do. I always tell my clients that too. Sometimes when people say, "Oh, I can't imagine it," it's not really true, because you can imagine your baby, being gone in your arms, and it's terrifying. It's really terrifying. So no one wants to think about it.
Do you know how often I used to imagine that? Like with my kids, like every minute of the day that something's wrong. I used to stay up all night and listen to them breathe. To them breathe, because I was convinced, that during the sleep in the newborn, it's the biggest fear that you can think of.
It really is. And there's so many people living it. And the tragic part is they're living it in silence. Mm-hmm. Because no one wants to hear about it. It makes them uncomfortable.
You're doing the really hard, amazing work, and I can't thank you enough.
That's why I was like, how do you not get like the emotional energy? How does it not like just take you over dealing, in this type of work? But God bless you.
It's my calling. That's how. Yeah. So
sure is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
God bless. Really.
Thank you.
And we will make sure that, everything's in the show notes so that people can reach you, because I have a feeling there's a lot of people who need assistance.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Ciao for now. That's how we sign off. We say
ciao for now.
Thank you for being here, and ciao for now.
Okay.
I know we're getting a little morbid here. We have to be like a little more upbeat. Hey, Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. You're a gift, Jennifer.
You're a gift.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. We would love your support, so please leave us a review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you are interested in hearing more of the Beyond the Table podcast, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Check out the show notes to find out how to reach us, and remember, you are strong, intelligent, and sensational. You are beyond the table.